Hi and welcome to my playhouse, and I'm in the cozy basement with the cat that just left. But I got a new battery. I had the other one exchanged. I had the 100 amp hour battery exchanged for a 70 amp hour battery, which is, it might not sound like a good idea, but the 100 amp hour battery was really not working, so a 70 amp battery that is working is a lot better than one that's not working. So, and it's here on the table, so let's have a look. Here it is, and actually it's the same brand. This brand, Bata branded, and this one comes right out of a Mercedes. And it was apparently not able to power the Mercedes any longer, but the battery is still pretty good. And I cheated, I had it charging all night. So if we take a look at the amp meter up here, I think we can read that. Yeah, we kind of can. And take the power plugs and plug it. It's 12.63 volts, which is okay for a battery. It has been sitting on the table for an hour or so since I unplugged it and readied the camera and stuff. So now I have 4 batteries for my battery bank. 1, 2 down here, 2, 3, and this Bosch 4. Cool. And I need them for this charge controller. This video series is really getting long, but the whole thing was I wanted a battery bank for this charge controller, because this charge controller is 48 amps, 48 volts, 30 amps. So I wanted something that could, this could power. So I'm gonna take the batteries and I'm gonna make a battery bank in series. And to do that, I'm gonna put on some clamps, and I kind of decided on the way this works. These, just to have some string going around and putting it into a connection like this, and it's on there pretty good, and it won't fall off. I'm not sure how much current this is gonna be able to draw, but I hope it's enough. Otherwise this will just break like a fuse and break the connection, and this is the weak point, and the house will probably not burn down. Probably. And this one has them as well, and I'm gonna put it on the new battery. So over here in my electric drawers, I have some of these. Let's see if I can use this one. And I'll have to cut one out of this one. The basement is apparently a dangerous place, or at least Kitty thinks so, because she don't want to come down here and play. I even made a little basket for her to sleep in, but she rather sit up there and look at me. Okay, these come right off, and I just took one off. I'm just gonna clean it a little bit, check about the same size, no problem. And I have this wire. It's some kind of ordinary, I don't know what this wire is for, but on the other ones I took a piece of 40 centimeters. It's a little more than a foot, I guess. And I made 2 pieces of 40 centimeters. And I think I'm just gonna do the same thing here. It does not really need to be that precise, it's just... "40 centimeters and 40 centimeters. Cool. Then what I do is I unscrew these a bit. Just use this one. Just unscrew them so that they're not in the way. And I'm gonna put in one of the ends. And there's like there's a round fixture in here for the wires to go into, but it's actually possible to get a wire down besides it. Like down here. So what I like to do is get the wire through and bend it and have it come back, but go into that gap. So I do that with these, I don't know if this is called a plier. Let's see if this will do it. Yeah, it's good. So I will tighten that up. Then it's just putting it on the battery. Then I have another little plier thing so that it gets really tight. Something like that. And I'll just have a screwdriver, not that one. Have a screwdriver in. Hit this a bit, and it actually got loose again, so I'll have to tighten it a bit more. But that's kind of the way I do it, and when it's all tight, I just tighten up the inner ones. On this one I tighten both of them, but I really just need the inner ones. So now I have both battery terminals on here, pretty secure. And I think I'm gonna try and put this on the inverter, this one, and put a bigger lamp in it and see how long it can power some amount of power, because the battery could still be bad. I don't want to waste a lot of time on it if it's not good. It seems good. It seems very good. From my nice selection of light bulbs, I've selected a 100 watt light bulb here. I've plugged in the inverter to the battery. Try to use short wires. These could get hot, but I'm gonna see how this goes. The inverter is on. I actually do want a multimeter on here before I go any further. Okay, I plugged in the multimeter and I put it on the side of this little wire that the inverter sees. So I'm not accounting for the wire going to the inverter, but right now it's dropped to 12.37. So let's see what happens when I power on the light. The voltage definitely dropped. 11. So it might be good to discharge this battery a couple of times and recharge it. Oh, let's start the clock. There we are. Then it should be an easy calculation to see how long it powers a 100 watt lamp. Well, this does look pretty good. We've been running for 5 minutes. The lamp is 100 watts of power, and it has found a steady point at 11.8 volts. And I've been looking at it, and it's maintained that voltage for the last minute at least. So I think this battery is pretty good. Okay, the beep just came on.
Let's see what the voltage is. It's 10.9 volts, and it's because it's a big ball. The power loss in the cables are significant, and it has been running for 1 hour and 8 minutes. I'm gonna turn it off. That makes a hell of a noise. So that's really cool. The battery powered 100 watts for over 1 hour. And there's a lot of losses in the cables and stuff like that. So I'm gonna put in a little bit smaller ball and run it like 60 watts and see how long that takes. The battery has had a few minutes to cool down because I've changed the light bulb, and the 100 watt light bulb was really hot, so I had to wait a couple of minutes before I could change it. But I'm gonna turn on the inverter, and the voltage drops a little bit, and we're gonna turn on the light bulb. And now we are draining it with 60 watts. And I'm gonna turn on the timer bridge, and I'll let it run and see how long this is. So we're here again 20 minutes later, and now the 60 watts light bulb is getting the beep. So I'll turn that off and we'll go down to 40 volts. I of course meant 40 watts, not 40 volts, but I just changed the light bulb and turned off the clock, and we're gonna see the voltage. It's raising to 11.81 volts. So we're gonna turn the 40 watts on at the clock. Okay, we're beeping again. We went down to 10.6 volts and 17 minutes, and we're gonna kill that sound. Get some more lights here. I'm gonna replace the bolt with something smaller. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a 20 watts. I only have the 15 watt light bulb. But I am gonna check. I just changed the light bulb, and I've actually found a light bulb that draws 25 watts. So it's a reduction of 15 watts. The voltage raise came up to 11.74 volts again, and I reset the timer, or turned off the timer. So now I'm gonna turn on the light and start the timer. Well, once again it's beeping. I'm gonna shut it off, and we have 32 minutes. Let's see what the voltmeter says. It says 11.6. Okay, I should of course have turned on the multimeter before I turned off the lamp. But never mind, I'm gonna reduce the light bulb to 15 watts. Okay, gonna reset the clock. Oh, there we are, and turn on the 15 watt lamp. And the voltage is dropping a little bit, actually keeping pretty high. But I've been calculating, and here I have a piece of paper, and I've written down the different times that I had. Let's see, the first one I was using a 100 watt light bulb, and it ran for 1 hour and 8 minutes, and that's 68 minutes, and that came to a total of 113.3 watt hours. I did the same thing with the 60 watts and the 40 watts, and right here we're gonna set the 32 minutes that we just got out of the 25 watt lamp. And I'm gonna calculate what that comes to, and I'm adding them up. Here I have 113.3 watt hours, and with the 60 watt I got 20 watt hours, and with the 40 watt I got 11.3 watt hours. So right now it's a total of 144.6 watt hours, not including this last one, that I haven't calculated yet. The inverter is not 100% efficient, so I'm guessing that it's about 85% efficient. It's not a lot, and it's probably pretty close. So I've been adding up 15%, which is the percent missing, to see what the battery actually is delivering. So right now I'm at 166.3 watt hours, not including this last one. And I have also calculated how much this should give out. It's a 70 amp hour battery and a 12 watts 12 volt. That should come to 840 watt hours. I'm not gonna able to get all of that out of the battery without destroying it every time. So I think about half of this should be probably what I could expect to get out of a battery. And there is the funny thing about batteries, that if you put a big load on them, you get less out of it. So we started with a 100 watt light bulb. If I had run the 25 watt light bulb, it would have run for a lot longer, and I would have had a bigger number here. So I actually went up and did the calculations. The 25 watts in 32 minutes came to about 13.3 watt hours, and it's kind of right. This is 32 minutes, kind of half an hour, so 25 watts. It's like divided into 2 and then some. So that's probably pretty. Just a good way to test if your calculation is correct. And I added that up, and it came to, right now I have had 157.9 watt hours coming out of the inverter, and the inefficiency in the inverter would then come to 23.7 watt hours, and that gives me a total of 181 watt hours out of the battery. And that's about, it's less than 1/4 of the battery, the new battery. If it was a brand new battery, it's 1/4 of it, but it's only the first time that I'm doing this, so I would expect that when I drain it and I charge it up again, I would actually get a better result the second time. So I hope to come up again about 200 amp hours and on this, not amp hours, watt hours on this first run, and that would really also be usable. Like 200, this number I would like that to be around 200 watt hours, because that would be quite a lot. Like if I had a light bulb like this one, that is a 3 watt light bulb with 200 watts, this would be able to run for, oh, that's a lot. Oh, it's not intriguing. 3 watts, 200 times, that would be 66 hours. And that's days and days of running a light bulb. But of course this light bulb uses very little power. 200 watt hours would run my television for 4 hours. That consumes about 50 watts. So 1 battery, 4 hours of TV, 2 batteries all night, 4 batteries, TV and light. I think that would be good for the consumption of my house at night. Yeah, this was the solar charger to get the power into the batteries. I never talked about how to get it out again. And what I really wanted is an 48 volt inverter, and I got those for solar power. But I have something else that I want to test it out with, and that's oopses. I have here an oops, and inside of that there is two 12 volt batteries, and two 12 volt batteries is just not enough. Therefore I got 2 of them, so I will be able to put 2 oopses in series to put on my battery bank and have both oopses run on those 4 batteries in series. And I've kind of taken this one apart. I just loosened the screws because I wanted to go in and check the batteries. This has been sitting on the shelf so long that for sure the batteries are dead. And there's a metal plug. And here are the batteries. So I kind of took the oops apart. And this is what it looks like without the cover. And I took out the batteries, which was kind of a big job because they have swallowed. They are bent around this corner. This is the way the battery goes out, but these corners has actually swallowed a bit out. It doesn't show that well, but they have, and that makes it a really tight fit in here to get those out. And I just measured the voltage on it, and it's a staggering. Let's just check that again. 0.45 volts. They are so dead. I had another pair that was in the other one, and I kind of tried to fix those last year or earlier this year, and they're dead, absolutely dead. They have been sitting all summer and I'm not able to charge them at all now, so I'm gonna throw those out. And I'm gonna throw these out probably as well. I'm just gonna try and charge them. I have to. It's part of my nature. I have to put them on a charge and see what happens, but they're gonna be bad. This is kind of weird. The multimeter says that there is 8.7 volts, which is not very much. The time is 1 hour and 19 minutes, and I'm gonna turn off the beep. And the voltage rises. It went down really far. It's not supposed to do that. It wasn't really supposed to go down further than 10.5 volts. I'm gonna wait a bit and see if it comes up again. But I don't think I'm gonna bring it further down, even though I could put on the 3-watt lamp, but I don't think that's a good idea. I put on the charger again, and right now it's charging with 6 amps, and it started really low and then it went up. And the voltage it's rising kind of funny. It might be that one of the cells got really bad. I'm actually gonna turn off this so there's no load on it. But I'm gonna charge it up again, see what happens. Yeah, so I took both of these apart. You saw the first one, and I took the battery wires that used to go on the batteries inside in front of the box,
and I drilled some holes and I have taken them out the back. And the idea for testing purposes is to connect these two together, and I was actually planning on having a bit of a fuse in the circuit between the two, like that, and then just applying 48 volts to these two. I would have two oopses that would be in series. This is not a solution that I will be going on with using for anything constructive, I think. This is just to, I don't have anything else that can convert 48 volts into 220 volts. And I did test each of the oopses and they seemed to be okay, but when I connected this and tried to make the power supplies in series, they were not able to drive it. So I'm planning on putting up the battery bank and see if that will do it. Yeah, this was the general idea. 4 batteries and 2 oopses. And I've even lined up the batteries so that the series just goes around, so the wires would be as short as possible. I'm really curious if I'm gonna be able to do this, or if I end up with one of the oopses just drawing 48 volts and blowing up instead. Then I would have to divide the oopses, so each oops has 2 batteries. So now I've connected up everything with wires between the batteries. These are not very heavy wires. I'd rather the wires burn than the batteries get damaged. And I've attached some small devices that I hope that I'll be able to put on the oopses. And I really don't know what's gonna happen when I plug this in. There's a fuse here and it's 25 amps. I think I'm gonna put in a smaller one, 10 amps, just to see what happens. Just replacing the 25 amp fuse with a 10 amp. So that's, hopefully this will die first. And I think I'll wear my glasses. Minus. And I will use a plier. Let's see what happens when I connect this. Not much. Okay. There we are, it's connected. I'm gonna try and start up both of the oopses at the same time. Maybe I'll just check that this isn't flaming in. If it says boom, I'd like to have that on camera. Not much happened. They beeped, so they get some kind of power. I'm gonna try and connect 220 volts to it. This one powers up. That says that the battery is good. And it powered down. Everything is blinking here. Oh, that was a funny sound.
That's a funny thing. I turned this one up and this one comes up. That's weird. I think I need a power plug. One more power plug. So that I can connect both of them to main power and then turn them off. This one is acting up. They're really not behaving very well right now. Try and disconnect. Reconnect. Huh? Oh yeah, they're on battery power as well. Didn't make any easy way to do that, so I'll have to disconnect power and reconnect it. And this is like 50 volts, so it might be rather unpleasant. And power is on. And both of them is off. And we will apply power. That looks so wrong. That's not supposed to do that. So this one might be bad. That's a shame. Oh, I just burned both of them off. I'm not sure. Well, I connected this one to 24 volts instead. And it behaves a lot better. So now it's actually on. So I'll try to do the same thing with this one. Holy shit. That was the wrong way. Ah! Guess there's some big capacitor. Ooh. Oh. Guess it's a bad idea to have them connected. This is still on. So I'll have to disconnect the batteries to do that. Disconnecting here. And putting on safety glasses. And trying to connect again. Now nothing is happening, which is a good thing. Well, now I connected both oopses, but only to, they have a 24 volt battery bank each, just like when the oops was in normal operation. I'm just wondering if this will settle down. It actually did something now. I think it's testing. So now they're both good. So if I disconnect power here, they should keep running. Let's see if that's the case. And yes, they do. Cool. Yeah, and they are complaining because they're supposed to complain when they're on their own power. And they switch back. That's kind of cool. And they have a computer interface on the back of them. They have a serial port up here, there and there, so I'm able to connect the computer to them and get data out of them. I think that would be a great idea to try. But, well, yeah. This is this test setup so far, and it's kind of working. I would have liked an oops that would be able to take 4 batteries instead. That would be a lot easier. But well, this is kind of working. So I could charge the batteries with the 48 volt charge controller and connect them to 2 oopses. Although I had the problem with not being able to connect the oopses together in a series. So I'm not sure how that would work, but well, we'll get there. I guess that's it for this time. Thank you for watching. Do enjoy some of the other videos that I've made, and do also subscribe so that you can see me again. Have a nice day. Bye bye.